Arcadian Vanguard presents The Wrestling News in your daily wrestling newscast for Wednesday, September 27th, 2023. Good morning. I'm Mike Sempervive. We begin today with more on Jade Cargill's jump to WWE. Cargill has officially signed a multi-year contract with the company, as was first reported yesterday by ESPN. WWE Chief Content Officer Paul Levesque welcomed her to WWE on Twitter, calling her, quote, a dominant athlete who's here to change the game, end quote. In an interview yesterday with the Masked Man show, Cargill commented publicly for the first time since her signing, calling it an easy decision. She also partly cited Cody Rhodes' jump from AEW back to WWE with inspiring her, stating, quote, he is a phenomenal man. I've seen what the business did for him. I've seen him be the stellar athlete that he is. I didn't see any different for myself. He was one of the guys that led me to a great decision, end quote. Tony Khan touched on a variety of topics during an AEW media call yesterday, focusing on this weekend's WrestleDream pay-per-view. Near the conclusion of the call, when answering a question about AEW remaining with Warner Brothers Discovery, Khan seemed to criticize the recent business practices of WWE in an attempt to distinguish his company from his primary competition.
I don't think it would be fair to talk about possible bidders or outside speculation. Right now, we're on Warner Brothers Discovery, and, you know, I find that in the entertainment business, there's not a lot of loyalty at times, and there should be. And this is a family business. We're not a public company. I'm not, you know, even if I get punched in the face with circumstances, it doesn't mean that I'm going to take it out on the staff by cutting 100 staff or laying off 30 wrestlers. And I really care about the people here, and I would, you know, I would do anything I can to protect the jobs and the livelihood of the people that work here. And that's a family business, and that's the difference between a family business and a public company in a lot of ways. And not every family business has those principles, but we do.
He also addressed rumors of Warner Brothers Discovery possibly owning a piece of AEW or looking to buy a minority share in the near future.
Well, it's something we talked about a lot. There's been a lot of conversations about that, and it's you know, it's always been something I've been open to. And you know, between Warner Brothers Discovery and myself, a lot of the financial and structural details of our partnership we've been able to keep between us. But there are things I've always said to be true, that I own 100% of the voting stock in this company, and that I have 100% of the decision-making power in the company. And I've been open to taking on additional partnerships or things of that nature. But we have a really great deal right now with Warner Brothers Discovery, and I would love to have an even longer agreement. And as for them and their stake in the business, I mean, that is something that would be between us, but I would also be open to that, to Warner Brothers in a future deal, having a piece or a bigger piece potentially, but I would always want to maintain 100% voting control as I have now.
Khan also briefly addressed yesterday's official announcement of WWE's signing of Jade Cargill, wishing her the best but declining to comment further. When asked about the status of Wardlow, who has been off AEW TV as of late, Khan did not explain the absence, but simply that he would be brought back when Khan felt the time was right. He also indicated that the rumors of Adam Cole's leg injury and his availability for WrestleDream would be addressed tonight on Dynamite. Among the other announcements was the news that the family of Antonio Inoki will be present at WrestleDream. When addressing recent comments of his that led to speculation on his interest in buying New Japan Pro Wrestling outright, Khan did not directly confirm or deny.
I definitely have no intention of clarifying what I meant by those comments. I want people to order the pay-per-view. but I definitely also never speculated that you know, I think the internet kind of ran away with the speculation based on I don't know what. Honestly, I'd love for somebody to go back and look who the first person to say that was, and track back where the speculation came from, because certainly I don't know if that particular aspect of it is very credible. You know, there's dots you can connect in wrestling, and there's things I'm very excited about that we've been doing.
The No Mercy Go Home episode of NXT was broadcast last night live on the USA Network from the WWE Performance Center in Orlando, Florida. The show concluded with the signing of the contract for the No Mercy's NXT Championship match between title holder Carmelo Hayes and Ilya Dragunov. In the main event, Trick Williams won a four-way over Tyler Bate, Axiom, and Dragon Lee to earn a shot at Dominic Mysterio's NXT North American title at No Mercy.
Williams wisely. Oh, headbutt. Drop Williams. Bate got dropped. Wait a minute, Williams. He did it.
Earlier in the show, Williams had scored a quick win over Joe Gacy. Butch defeated Joe Coffey in the finals of the Global Heritage Invitational Tournament, earning his spot in a Heritage Cup match against Noam Dar at No Mercy.
Finally.
It's no time, Vic.
The bitter end.
That's it. That's got to be it.
Butch is headed to No Mercy.
What a bat.
In other results, Baron Corbin beat Josh Briggs. Eddie Thorpe defeated Dijak in a strap match. Thea Hale went over Danny Palmer, and the team of Bronco Nima and Lucian Price upended Hank Walker and Tank Ledger. Also during the show, a vignette was aired which seemed to hint at the NXT debut of Brian Pillman Jr., although he was not shown. In more AEW news, it was reported yesterday on Wrestling Observer Radio that AEW appears to be headed for a home on Max, the streaming platform owned and operated by AEW's media partner, Warner Bros. Discovery. The partnership could potentially begin with a December pay-per-view, although that has not been confirmed. Max recently announced a new live sports addition to the streaming app, and it is believed that AEW and Ring of Honor content could be bundled with the new package, including both archived content as well as upcoming premium live events similar to WWE's arrangement with Peacock. Serena Deeb's nearly year-long absence from AEW TV, despite still being signed to the company, was attributed in part to a new Fightful report to serious disagreements between Deeb and AEW management as to how she was being used on television. Although not confirmed by Deeb herself, sources within AEW reported that Deeb accused management of cutting her match times without informing her until she was in the ring, an accusation that AEW management denies. Deeb herself had previously indicated that she had been dealing with an injury which has kept her away from the ring and could also be a contributing factor in her absence. Deeb has not wrestled since the October 18th, 2022 edition of AEW Dark. And in ratings news, last Monday night's Raw experienced an increase from last week's record low audience, bringing in 1.465 million viewers to USA Network, according to WrestleNomics. That's a jump of more than 15% from last week's audience of 1.331 million. The rating in the key 18 to 49-year-old demographic was 0.43, which was also slightly up from last week's key demo rating of 0.42. Last Saturday's episode of AEW Collision drew its largest audience since July, with 562,000 people tuning into TNT, according to Sports TV ratings. That's also an improvement of 20% from the previous week's audience of 467,000. The key demo rating for Collision was 0.18, up from the previous week's 0.15. And before we leave you today, we'd like to remind you that however you consume your content, you can find the wrestling news 24 hours a day and 7 days a week across social media. On Twitter, follow us at Wrestling News AV. Our Facebook page is also Wrestling News AV. The Wrestling News can also be found on the Arcadian Vanguard YouTube page. And for those who utilize Amazon Echo devices, just tell Alexa to play the Wrestling News podcast. And remember to make sure you add podcast at the end. Once again, for daily updates, breaking news, and more, follow the Wrestling News across social media. And that's the news for today. If anything happens, we will be here to tell you about it. No clickbait, no paywall, just the Wrestling News. The Wrestling News is a division of Arcadian Vanguard, and the Wrestling Newscast is a production of the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network.